What's going on, everybody? Um, Today I'm filming in the shop. As you can see, the Japanese trucks are behind me with the forklift and everything. Uh, what's interesting about this, just real quick before I start getting in my video, you can't see it, and maybe in a later video, another video, I'll show you the outside. But this warehouse we're in is in Goodyear Airport, and this is a historic location because this warehouse that I'm working in right now was where they designed and developed the SR-71 Blackbird stealth fighter, and it just happens to be, there's no coincidences, just happens to be the my favorite jet of all time. I know it's a favorite of many. Um, but yeah, I'm right. I don't know what this section did. I mean, they might have been working on like starters for the jet engine, or maybe this was an avionics section. I'm not sure, but there's multiple warehouses. But this is the area I'm in where they developed it, and the other building where the leasing office is has historic photographs, which I'll show you in another video, of pictures of back in the 60s when they were developing it here. But anyways, going on to the video, today I wanted to talk about maybe a few different things. Starting off with is forgiveness. So forgiveness is one of the, I would say for a lot of people, it'd be the most difficult part of spiritual growth that you can do, because it's hard to forgive, especially if you're trying to forgive somebody that did a lot of harm to you, or maybe there was childhood trauma or even an adult trauma. Someone did something really bad to you, and your instinct is to more hate that person, or try to exact revenge on some level. Maybe that's what your thoughts are, and you kind of dwell and obsess over it. But forgiveness is super powerful because we're all connected and all is one. And God's energy in relation to you forgiving that other person gives you power back to yourself. Um, when you forgive somebody else or forgive a situation and use the power of forgiveness, it nullifies regret. Like, regret and resistance are caused by not forgiving, and it actually also does health harm to your body. Toxins start building up in your system. All health and disease, like unhealthy situations and disease, is mostly caused by some sort of fear, anxiety, revenge thinking. Like, not forgiving people causes a lot of toxins and deposits in your blood system that cause health problems. So forgiving is very powerful. Even I took a long time before I could forgive some of the people in my past that I felt did harm or trauma to me, or like treated me poorly, right? But once you do that, there's like a weight lifted off you. You start feeling better, and you're grateful. You're more grateful, and you can also, if you learn how to forgive real easy, you're also not affected by. You're not reactive to emotions that come up like now, right? So if someone gets in your face and starts telling you off, it's easier when you're in that kind of like higher vibration where you're forgiving and not letting negative emotions like make you react the way you would in maybe an aggressive manner or retaliatory or whatever the case may be. It's easier to like block it out and say this is not a problem, and just walk away, or just like chill out and not let it affect you. So forgiveness is super powerful, and that kind of like segues into like also talking about gratitude again. To be grateful for the universe providing you gifts. You're also grateful that you can release that energy. You are co-creators So you're creating the situation that brought you that whatever it is you need to forgive anyways, because you're reflecting. Now you're saying, well, when I was a child, I had no choice to deal with that. That like I didn't create that. That was just something that was thrown at me as a child. How could a child control that? Well, we could go further into detail about like generational curses or something. You're kind of like, so when I was talking about karma, what I was going to segue and elaborate on was karmic debt could be from a past life. So you let's say you were like a tyrant in a past life, like a leader and a tyrant, and you were just like killing a bunch of people and making people suffer and have slaves and stuff like that. Well, now consciousness is like, well, your karmic debt is now your soul is going to have to experience something in your next life for you to learn from, because we're all trying to like grow to become more awake, um, and to get out of that karmic debt, or what they would call past life, a generational curse, like your great grandfather or great great grandmother or whatever did something bad, so now you're paying for it as a child, and then you have to learn how to like remember who you are and get rid of that generational curse or that karmic debt from the past. So when I was talking about karma and the way it works, there is karmic debt that does come in uh, eventually, and it could be in another life, or it could be a different type of suffering, instead of just like, oh, somebody kills somebody in cold blood, then they're going to get killed. Karma doesn't work like that, like the tit for tat, like I was talking about. But it could be a generational curse that you need to um, address, or a karmic debt that you need to address to find yourself who you are again, and raise awareness to let that go and redeem yourself, basically, for some sort of quote unquote salvation. I don't care to use that term too much, because that word is associated with dogma. But these terms mean something, and don't get hung up on like I said before. Don't get hung up on terminology where that's your attachment to something that you don't like, or something that like caused you problems, or it's like, oh, people that dealt with that always say salvation or whatever. It's like woo woo, or like dogma Christian mindset, and you're like I'm repelled from that. So you kind of have to address in your mind, why is it you're repelled from certain things, and like not open to certain things. So if you have a stigma about terms like salvation, or it's like, oh, everyone that always talks about Jesus uses the term salvation in Christianity. Well, some of these words are powerful, and that's why the Bible used it, because that's there's their little these little tips and tricks and secrets are laying all over the place around you for you to find, right? Um, the clues to a puzzle, so to speak. So don't get wrapped up in terminology. I'm not a master of terminology, and I keep expressing that because I want you to be open to information. But not ranting on that any further. Christmas is coming up soon. This is the holidays. So if you're starting to feel the holiday stress again, once again, take a step back, ground yourself, meditate, breathe, approach your day in an optimistic way. Stay poised. Optimism is really closely related to being poised. Poised, that you know that the universe is providing you with your gifts and your good experiences and good family relations. Stay poised for that. Don't have fear or anxiety. If you have the fear, you're not being poised. And when you have the fear, you're bringing about more stuff that you fear, because remember, you're reflecting whatever it is you're thinking. So if you have fear, you're going to reflect back more fear and like horror situations. I'm being cryptic by saying horror, but you get what I mean. Like what you consider bad situations, it would be they're going to be more common if you have that fear and that anxiety. So you got to let go of that fear and that anxiety. Be poised and optimistic to let that you know that you're going to have good situations come at you. You know, assume the law of assumption. Assume that you're going to have a great holiday, or and being poised for the next year, and just let the stress let the stress go. If there's a lot of people in your family that are just like bombarding you with like problems or whatever around this time, or you're stressed out about buying gifts and maybe you don't have enough money to buy gifts, do not let that stray you. Don't worry about that. Everything will be taken care of as long as you believe and have faith. Right. People generally nowadays people understand what's going on with everybody, and the holidays is becoming especially during Christmas, everyone understands it's a time of stress. So it's actually kind of like I feel like it's kind of nullifying itself. I'm not sure in your families or your friends circles or whatever, but everyone knows it's like this is a time of stress. So I believe nowadays people are like more like backing off, um, stressing other people because they know that it's causing friction with others or whatever. And you might have children, and you want to buy gifts for them. And that reminds me, talking about children, you're when you're teaching your children, you're impressing them on certain things. So uh, the term the so if you want them to like become something, like a lot of parents say, "Oh, I want my kids to be a doctor," so you keep pushing that on them. Don't do that. Let them naturally find their passion, and then you want to try to cultivate that passion for them. Don't try to push them into something that you think will be good for them, because that might not be their thing. Matter of fact, I have a friend. He knows who I'm talking about. When he grew up, he kind of had a tiger mom just make him study study his butt off in school. He wasn't allowed to like go outside and play with friends a lot. He was like always studying. Going to his room, he had to study like even after school, and he studied and studied. Went to college, became a doctor. But now I talked to him. He's dealing with some sort of like childhood trauma from that because he wasn't allowed to be social, and so it makes him more introverted, so to speak, and worried about like social situations because and then the trauma that he dealt with his parents, like forcing him to study all the time and not, kind of not like be a kid and have friends and stuff like that. Um, and that goes with like even with parents like deal with sports. Those super dads that are like going crazy at like baseball games or basketball games, forcing the kid to like practice in the morning before school, practice after school, push, 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 get better, better, better. Yes, I would say like certain things you want to like help push them towards something that they might want to do, but don't be overburdened where it's going to cause trauma. Um, a lot of kids, a lot of pro athletes. I've met quite a few basketball players, and I asked them. Said, when you're younger, how did your parents approach your sports? And I asked them. I said, when you played basketball, they usually said, "Oh, I just loved basketball, so I went out and played every day." My parents didn't have to push me because I just wanted to go out and play. A lot of the pro basketball players that I've ran into have said that they didn't have like parents that were saying, "Oh, you have a gift or this or whatever," and I didn't have that ability when I was younger, so I'm gonna push you to do this. A lot of them didn't have that. They just like they loved the game, so they kept playing and they got better and better because they wanted to play every day. I'm not saying that's the case with all of them, and you may know more stories than I do about it. But that's what I've kind of encountered when it comes to like pro athletes. They just wanted to do what they just loved what they were doing, and they kept doing it hours and hours and hours. And that's where you come up with that 10,000 hour mastery um, phrase, right? You do something for 10,000 hours, and then you master it. So whatever it is your kids are passionate about, or even your own passions. I told you it's like cultivate your own passions. You're never too old to like learn anything. I I mean, if you're 90 years old and you want to become a pro basketball player, well, I mean, that's I suppose it could happen. Like nothing's impossible, but like when I talk about passions, I'm like, oh, if you wanted to learn how to play an instrument and you're 40 something or 50 something years old, you can learn an instrument. It's no problem. Like do it in your free time or whenever you got time and do that. Or if you want to start drawing or whatever your passion is. We're actually starting to go into an era. And today I know I'm running over on time, and this is gonna be a long video today, anyways. I knew that, but um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so your passions, you're you're basically can learn and develop anything that you want. And we're going into an era where our jobs and career is going to be based around passions and creativity, because we're going into the age of Aquarius, towards the fifth dimension realities, where we're gonna be able to like manifest more, and the dark ages is over. So like the currency exchange for stuff, that's going to be going away, and we're going to be more like doing our passions and receiving abilities to live through our passions, however that may be. I don't get political when I talk about this. Some people say, "Oh, that sounds like a social, or a communist society or whatever." It's not. It's not. It's not that. That's old systems. This new system that's coming in is a state of manifestation. More like if you watch Star Trek, that's kind of the idea of where I think we're going. There's no monetary currency. It's just everyone develops to make their lives better. Like the robots are going to start help building stuff, so that like labor is going to go kind of away, and skill sets are going to be more. Oh, you're good at computers, so you might work on computers, or you might be good at training people in physical therapy or exercise. So you're going to be a personal trainer of some type, and there's going to be direct exchange for all that. And it's a society that's going to go after like one major goal to make the society better, instead of like a corrupt greed style system. That's where we're heading. Is I think this kind of like the Star Trek style society where everyone just does their part to make everyone's lives better, and there's not greed involved with the currency and stuff like that, and everyone has their own fair share of something and not like lacking or starving to death. You'll be able to be provided food. Now I don't know, like might have to contribute something. You might not have to contribute anything to society, but you'll want to help others. You'll want to contribute to society because you're not worried about money. So if you sat there and say, "Oh, what would you do if you had money all the time?" I guess some people would sit there and just play video games or watch TV if they just didn't have to do anything, and I guess that's an option. But you're also like, oh, if you had a passion to do something, like, oh, I like building like wood furniture, you'll just be able to do it, and you'll be provided the tools to do it, and the food and the lodging and all that stuff, and then you won't have to like, oh, you have to be here 9 to 5 every day. It's not like that. You'll show up when you want, work 4 hours a day maybe, go home, chill, relax, and it's not going to be like, oh, you have to be here at 8 o'clock and then leave at 4 every day, and you have to take a half an hour lunch and you can't leave. Nothing like that. It'll be a lot different. So I don't want to go on a rant about that style of society, and I think where we're leading, and we don't might not happen in our lifetimes, or it might. I don't know. But the Star Trek society aside, talking about the age of Aquarius is the age of manifestation and spiritual awakenings. That's why like the whole world's waking up all at once, and this kind of started in 2000. I think the year 2000 is when people started waking up, especially with the internet coming out, and then the way the star alignments are and stuff like that. It could be, it's all related, but we were like in the dark ages all the way up until that time. In the industrial era, I mean, we had like what almost through 3 world wars in 1 century. So that was the end of the dark era. And who knows if we're gonna have if there's gonna be another war or not. but we're entering an era of an enlightenment where people are wanting to become spiritual, and that greed and stuff is kind of like the energy states are going to like being pushed away, and the Earth's vibrations raising. That's why it's getting hotter outside. It's like, oh, it's global warming. Oh, so well, the Earth's vibrations raising, so it's getting warmer. That's why. It has nothing to do with emissions. Is the Earth's vibration when friction and vibration happens rapidly, it creates heat. So the Earth's vibrations raising, it's causing hotter weather. But we don't know what it does as far as like bringing an ice age in or anything like that. There's really not enough scientific data to prove that. Weather changes all the time. They can never predict the weather, anyways. So, yeah, leave your comments below on what you think about the weather. But I don't. They're not telling us what's really going on with why the Earth's raising its temperature, and I believe it's because the Earth's vibrations raising, just like the people's vibrations raising. So yeah, leave your comments below on what you think. I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate it. And you guys have a nice day.